Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
And today we're talking about the TV show Evil. You know, we've talked about this on the podcast before, like season 1. I think we just briefly mentioned that we've watched it, but we haven't done an official podcast episode on this show.
Yeah. Yes. So I think that we should talk about it in depth.
Now, here's the thing. I discovered this during the pandemic because it dropped on Netflix, and then somebody on Twitter was like, go watch the show immediately. And I was like, okay, and I did. You know why I love it? I think the leads are compelling. I am not necessarily, as Meg, you always say, we're not necessarily like religious horror fanatics, but they balance like Monster of the Week episodes and the through line of this mythology, quote unquote, so well. It has an X-Files, Mulder and Scully vibe, and I dig it.
Yeah, it definitely has an X-Files vibe. And, you know, it started out on CBS. Now it's on Paramount Plus. I don't think it's on CBS itself anymore, which is kind of fun because now they're swearing and stuff. Mm-hmm. But it has this X-Files-ness to it, except there are 3 leads, which I think is really cool, actually. I like that it's a group of 3 because it kind of helps with just adding more dynamics, even though there's that Mulder and Scully will they, won't they, with 2 of them. And she's married, and something I absolutely love about this show is the mother aspect. She's a mother, and it's the most realistic, like, depiction of being a mom that I've seen really in a long time. For instance, she is like sitting there on her computer, and then all her girls come home from school and they all just jump on her and they start talking, and they're all talking at once, and she's trying to work on something on the computer. And I was like, oh my god, yes. Because like, how many times have you seen, I remember a scene from Better Call Saul where he's like sitting there, what's the Mike? Yeah, he's sitting there and he's talking to his daughter-in-law, and like the granddaughter's just politely playing, and that's what they're always doing in TV shows. Right. The kids are always just politely playing off somewhere. And so I really appreciate like this reality of, oh, this is what being a mom is like, and she's trying to balance that with this job and her husband being away. And I just think it's really compelling, like you said.
So speaking of that and the reality of it, also it takes place in New York City, which, to compare it, this is not comparable at all, but think about the Cosby Show and how big their home was and how spread out they all were in their bedrooms and space. And like, I know that's a sitcom, whatever, but these 4 girls are in one room with bunk beds, and it doesn't seem like it's out of the question they could own this home.
Right.
Like with their jobs, which is like, I appreciate that, because a lot of TV shows, like The Friends apartment, like they could never have afforded that or whatever. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think that it kind of helps in that it kind of grounds you in that reality before we go, you know, because it's a very bizarre show and it goes to very supernatural places. So I like that they ground us in that reality. And then we've got like Michael Emerson, who's this like demon, and he's having way too much fun. Like, he is perfect for that role.
And his love interest, which is the lead's mom,
mm-hmm.
Christine Lottie.
Lottie. Yeah.
And she's amazing. And also it's fun to see like this older woman who's like sexy and having fun in her life, because a lot of grandmother characters are just like, oh, you know, let me bake you cookies. She's like, no, I'm going to go out and F this dude.
And she doesn't want to be called grandma, which is interesting. They need to come up with a different name for her. What I think is kind of cute is that this show was created and is written by, and the showrunners are a married couple. They've been married for over 30 years, and I think that's really kind of cute. I like that they're doing it together. They also created The Good Wife, which I never watched, but I mean, obviously was a huge hit.
So I love that they pivoted to something so supernatural and bizarre, and, you know, because this is out there. Like, I think somebody tweeted the photo of Michael Emerson sitting with the devil.
Yeah.
And it was like, wait, what? This show was on CBS?
Well, and that's the thing. And I guess I'm not totally surprised it jumped over to Paramount or Paramount Plus, mm-hmm. because it is bizarre, and CBS, you know, is sort of known for their like procedurals, and there definitely is a procedural feeling to this show, but it also is so bizarre and it has a lot to say, you know, about society, and you know, there are some maybe sacrilegious things happening that maybe some of the older set that watches CBS might not like. So I think it's maybe found a good home.
I agree. Now I love, obviously, the through line. She is a psychologist and he is about to be a priest, and then we have like the tech expert, and they're working together. They're helping out the church to debunk or, you know, prove these demonic possessions and other odd things. So there's where the X-Files-ness of it comes in. So yeah, there are many exorcisms, but it's not strictly about exorcism. And I almost prefer the non-exorcism episodes. How about you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, it's funny because I was just doing research for The Conjuring on our upcoming The Science of Witchcraft book. And it's, for me, as someone who, you know, isn't Catholic, it's fascinating that, like, exorcisms are real and that they, you know, however whether you believe there's a demon in that person or not, they are done by the Catholic Church. And I was reading about, I can't remember what the case was. It was one of the ones, it was either Conjuring 1 or, it must have been, that the priest that went on to become a pope actually, like, said, like, he gave the okay for the exorcism. And I just find it fascinating that that's, you know, a real thing, because it feels so antiquated in this, like, modern world. And so there's that juxtaposition happening all the time. But to your question, yes, like, I think we both really enjoyed the elevator episode. Yes. That kind of has that Cecil Hotel documentary, or not documentary, but kind of feeling of
the elevator game
and him being stuck with those dead bodies. That was really cool.
I freaking loved it. Now, back to your exorcism thing, too. We also wrote about it in our first book, The Science of Monsters, when we talked about The Exorcist in our chapter, and several real-life cases, and the current statistics of how many exorcisms takes place per year. So go pick up a copy of that, or at least read the chapter as you're sitting down in the library.
And so, like, the premise isn't, like, that bonkers.
Right.
This idea that, you know, there are these people that he's this almost priest, and she's a psychologist, and then we have our skeptic, and they all kind of work together, and they all kind of come away, you know, it is like X-Files, because it's sort of like, what do you want to believe? And, you know, Fox Mulder always came away being like, there's proof there's aliens, and then Scully came away being like, well, I don't know about that. Yeah. And so I kind of feel like it's sort of the same thing here.
One of my favorite episodes was in season 1, the Halloween episode, where there was a girl who showed up and she kept her mask on the whole time. And it's like everybody thought she was like the neighbor girl or something, but it turned out she was a ghost, probably.
Yes.
That was super creepy. And then I love the episode where our tech dude, sorry I don't remember anybody's names right now, he went on the show, it's like Ghost Hunters or something, but like he was almost got tricked, but then he was debunking, and like it's so funny, it's fascinating, it's scary at times. Oh my god, like the sleep demon.
Ooh,
from season 1, and I guess
and now there's another
bad,
sleep
right?
demon. You know, it's funny because I think there's something about when we think of like a CBS procedural show, there's almost like a comfort level, like, you know, and okay, this is NBC, but you know, like, how a Law and Order episode's gonna go. But I feel like with Evil, even though it has those sort of trappings, it's actually very unexpected, and it goes in all these weird ways. Like, I'll think I know what's about to happen, or I think like, oh, this is how it's gonna end, and it doesn't at all, you know?
Exactly.
So I like the surprise of it, and, you know, the feeling like, oh my gosh. Like, for instance, this whole thing about her killing that LaRue guy, the serial killer, like, that is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen the latest episode,
no,
but we definitely get into that. And so that was definitely an unexpected thing that character did.
Okay.
And then there's this, obviously, this romance that is subtle, like the X-Files again. I don't know. How do you feel?
Yeah, I freaking love it. And I live for the little things, like when they sat on the same step. When they
That's so Mulder and Scully.
when they danced together, when she fell asleep on his shoulder, like I would rather have that most of the time than like an up against the wall sex scene, although I will take those sometimes too. But after a bit of a build up, please.
No, I love a little hand touch, a little look. And it's like super hot because
They have such good chemistry.
They
And he's
have
a
really
priest and
good
he shouldn't
chemistry.
be.
I know he's about to be like an actual priest. He's so close, and she's got this absent husband who's like kind of selfish and leaves her with the kids all the time, and he goes off on these climbing adventures, and you're like, fuck him and just do it already, but then you want them to like draw it out. So it's just like, I mean, that's what keeps me coming back to his show.
Oh my god, no. Like every time I try to convince you to watch a show, Meg, I just have to tell you that there's a ship in it.
Yeah, it's true. And then I'm like, I'm those eyes, the emoji eyes.
And she's always like, is it cargo or sailboat? Just kidding.
Oh,
like you're a
bad,
like
bad
a boat.
joke.
Yeah, I know.
I only like shipping movies.
Captain Phillips.
Yeah, like I'll only watch. It has to take place on the
Titanic.
ship. Only men. I only want men in it because isn't that? I feel like every boat movie show, whatever, it's just all a bunch of men. That sounds great. Unless there's a ship on one of those. No.
Wait, isn't there like there's like horror movies on ships, like Ghost Ship and like.
Well, I'm not writing off every ship.
No,
ever.
I was just thinking though, like that could be your brand.
You know what though? I feel like there need to be more. Because boats. I mean, I guess there's like open water.
Yeah.
But you know, I think we could do more.
No,
boat
we've
horror.
already talked about one of the plots that we are going to write, so I won't bring it up again. But just watch for that screenplay. Watch for that feature film that's happening.
That movie.
Coming 2025.
Uh-huh.
But Evil, I think it is so clever. It's the right amount of funny, the right amount of scary, the right amount of realistic, with all of these little creepy things like children that are killers, many children on the show have been a bit left of center, and it's like, ooh, that's scarier to me than like, you know, an adult serial killer. That's scary too, but you know what I mean? These creepy kid episodes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and I think too, like, they do a really good job of, and again, I'm comparing it to the X-Files, but they do a really good job of, like, saying something, like the Amazon, I know it wasn't really called Amazon episode, but, you know, with the zombies, where she's like, my dad's turning into a zombie because of, the, like, how overworked he is. And I really liked, I thought that was a interesting episode. It was kind of through the eyes of these kids, and there's just a lot there, and it's a fun show to watch. I think that sometimes, I will admit, if I docked it for anything, there's just like a few too many like conversations at the church.
I agree.
That's when I kind of start to like want to check my phone and stuff. But overall, I think it's a really well done, fun, unique show, which, I don't know, the characters are really at the heart of it, and they're cast so
great,
well.
So great. And the lead, I can't think of his real name right now, but he was Luke Cage.
Coulter.
Yes, he was Luke Cage. If you are a fan of that show that was on Netflix.
I mean, he's not.
It's not too shabby.
He's a pretty ripped priest.
Would you go to church if he was the priest at your local Catholic church?
Neil.
Oh my God! This is getting inappropriate.
That's a Fleabag
No, we're a Fleabag.
reference.
No, we're Fleabaggers.
Yes, I would definitely. This might convert me.
All right. Well,
I'm easy.
yeah. No, I get it. Listen, we're gonna rank this show on a scale of 0 to 10. 0, you hate it. 10 being you think it's a perfect television show, and obviously we're not totally current and up to date. I mean, we're through the latest episode, but
I think it's on a break too now for a while. So
I think it has to be rosaries, because they have that really cool in the credit sequence, that rosary like falling into the white.
Dexter was like, "Why is it falling into milk?" When he saw it, it does kind of look like milk.
How many rosaries do you give Evil up to this point.
I'm going to give it 8 rosaries because I think it's got really good characters that are cast well. I think it's got good Monster of the Week episodes. It's fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously, even though it deals with some pretty serious topics. And yeah, I really enjoy Evil, and I'm excited to watch more episodes.
I'm going to give it 8.5 rosaries, so that's like however many more beads, I guess, on a second one. But, you know, the thing I like about it is that there's 2 skeptics, but even the priest, like, he's skeptical about certain things, and, like, he even doesn't trust his own judgment because, you know, he's got this complicated past of, like, drug addiction, and he's had relationships. He himself even is a skeptic in his own ways, and so
that's true.
You just never know who to trust and what to trust, and I love that our most skeptical character from last season, our tech guy, like, now he literally has that sleep demon and he's questioning things. Like, I freaking love it, and I just keep saying, I like yell at the screen, like, talk to each other, tell each other what you're experiencing, because they're not communicating.
I know, and I like how they were like getting into his past, and he was like in some sort of genetic testing thing that he did, and then it like messed up a bunch of babies or something, and he has all this guilt, and like, so I like all that stuff. I like complicated pasts and all that.
The other thing I have to say I think helps this show is there's not too many episodes per season. You know, because the procedurals that do end up having too many, it's like, I can't do it. You might have a great premise, but you are having these filler episodes just to like lean it out and make it last longer. No, let's keep it actually lean.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really glad that TV shows are starting to do this now, because there's no reason to have 30 episodes.
Let's go. Okay, so we're not going to spoil this because Meg hasn't watched the whole thing. I have, but we're on our rewatch. Another show we recommend along the same vein, speaking of skeptics and horror and all things spooky, is Los Espookys on HBO. It's Lorne Michaels, Fred Armisen produced. It's a group of friends in Mexico, and they are putting on horror-themed events and parties for people. I don't think this is spoilery. I mean, it is, but it doesn't matter. They put on a horror-themed quinceañera. They fake an exorcism. Like, there's just so many funny hijinks.
I saw those. I haven't seen a lot of episodes, but I saw those. And yeah, it's in Spanish, and all, like, I mean, it seems like it's produced in Mexico, I'm assuming, and I think it's really cool that these Fred Armisen and Lorne Michaels are like, I don't know, I don't want to be like helping out, but they are like
lifting up voices
of people who wouldn't normally get their show on HBO Max, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's pure, it's lovable. We talked about a couple weeks ago, but we talked about I think it's on Apple Plus actually, Schmigadoon. That also is just like pure, it's a musical comedy, of course. But this, it feels just pure, and like nobody is like totally terrible, and it's just like a good time, you know?
Yeah,
and I like shows like that.
Just positive. No one's like, it's not like fucking Ozark. Like, you don't have to be stressed
Which
out
I also love it, but
I know,
yeah.
me too. But like, it's also stressful.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel stressed watching it. What is it called?
Los Espookys.
Los Espookys. Yeah, I enjoyed the little bit that I saw, and I'm excited to watch more.
Yeah, it's just cute. So we recommend that. I looked up if there's going to be a season 2. I can't remember the answer. You know what? Go Google it right now, everybody, because all it's going to do is like gain momentum to get it to be made, right?
That's right, Google.
The power of searching. So we hope you are having an excellent week here in August. Be safe wherever you are. If you're not vaccinated, please get vaccinated. If you're looking for something to buy, pick up a copy of one of our books. You can pre-order The Science of Serial Killers right now. And Meg, when is your next book of short stories available for pre-order?
You know, I'm not sure when it'll be available for pre-order, but it's coming out in October, so probably very soon. I'll keep you guys abreast of the situation.
Awesome. Until next time, we'll see you in the horror section.
Bye.